Today we're going to dive into one of the most dramatic, high-stakes escape stories ever told. Seriously. It's a story of liberation, absolute terror, and a miracle so huge it would go on to define a people for thousands of years. This is the crossing of the sea.
But here's the thing. To really get the triumph, you have to start with the terror. Just imagine, you've been freed from generations of slavery. You're marching out, you're thinking about the future, and then it all goes wrong. You're trapped. And you turn to your leader, not with hope, but with this bitter, gut-wrenching question. This is the moment when it felt like all hope was completely lost.
So how in the world did they end up here? In this place of just utter despair, literally cornered between an army and an ocean? Well, let's rewind a few days and take a look at the daring flight that kicked this whole thing off.
Okay, so it all starts with this sudden, chaotic departure. After that last devastating plague, Pharaoh basically says, "Get out." So they leave. And they're not just wandering blindly. They're being led by this incredible pillar of cloud by day and fire by night. But here's the catch. They don't take the easy way. God leads them on this strange detour, a roundabout path straight toward the sea. And this is where the trap gets sprung. Because back in Egypt, Pharaoh is having a major change of heart. He's thinking, wait a minute, we just let our entire labor force walk away. So he gets his 600 best chariots, his entire army, and starts a full-blown pursuit. The chase is on.
And that chase? It leads directly to that terrifying moment we started with. A moment of truth right there at the water's edge, where this brand new freedom suddenly feels a lot like a death sentence.
I mean, you have to picture the scene. It must have been horrifying. The Israelites look back, and they see this massive dust cloud on the horizon. The sun is glinting off the metal of thousands of Egyptian chariots. In front of them, a huge, impassable body of water. To their left and right, nothing but empty desert. There is literally nowhere to run. They are completely hemmed in, and the most powerful army in the known world is closing in on them fast.
So as the people are panicking, turning on him, screaming those accusations, Moses delivers this incredible command. Think about it. It's a call for just radical faith in the face of certain death. He doesn't give them a battle plan. He doesn't have an escape route. He just offers a promise. Stand your ground, be quiet, and watch.
Now, let's pause the action for a second and talk about the water itself. We all call it the Red Sea, right? But that name, well, it's actually the subject of some really intense debate among scholars. And this one little detail might just change how you picture this entire event.
Yeah, before we see those waters part, we have to tackle this crucial question. Because the original name for this sea isn't what you probably think it is, and its real meaning opens up a whole bunch of possibilities for what happened and where.
So the term in the original Hebrew is Yam Suf. Yam means sea, or, any large body of water. But Suf, that's the key part. It doesn't mean red, it means reeds. Like the plants and rushes you find growing in freshwater marshes. So a much more literal translation is the Sea of Reeds.
So where did Red Sea even come from? Well, fast forward about 1,000 years. Jewish scholars in Egypt are translating the Hebrew Bible into Greek. And when they get to Yam Suf, they translate it as Erethra Thalassa, which is Greek for Red Sea. Now this was their interpretation, not a word-for-word translation, but that's the one that stuck and shaped the story for the rest of us.
Okay, so this whole debate has led to a few different theories. The Reed Sea camp points to shallow, marshy lakes up in northern Egypt. The Red Sea camp sticks with tradition, arguing for the Gulf of Suez or maybe even the Gulf of Aqaba. And then some scholars take a totally different route, suggesting Yam Suf isn't a place on a map at all, but a mythic reference to a cosmic sea, a battle against chaos. But here's the bottom line. Despite countless searches, no direct archaeological evidence has ever been found to prove the crossing happened at any of these sites.
All right, let's get back to the story. Let's move from the where to the how. Because no matter the exact location, the text describes one of the most mind-blowing miracles ever recorded. Let's look at how this path through the deep was actually created.
The way the story unfolds is pretty clear. It all starts with a gesture from Moses. He stretches his hand out over the water. Then, a natural force is used in a supernatural way. A powerful east wind starts to blow, and it doesn't stop. It blows all night long. And the result is just incredible. The seabed becomes dry ground. And this is a perfect example of how biblical scholars see the story as this amazing tapestry, woven together from different ancient sources. An earlier version seems to focus on that powerful wind just pushing the water back, almost like a natural wind-driven tide.
But a later version adds that more dramatic detail we all know, the idea of the waters splitting into two distinct walls.
And it's this image right here that has completely defined how we see this miracle. The idea of walking on a dry path with these two towering walls of water on either side, that's the iconic moment. That's the shot you see in every movie.
So the Israelites make it across safely, and of course, the Egyptians charge right into the path after them. But the tables are about to turn big time. The text says God threw the whole army into a panic, jamming up their chariot wheels so they could barely even move. The hunters are now the ones who are trapped.
At God's command, Moses stretches his hand out over the sea one last time, and those walls of water, they collapse. The sea rushes back to its normal state, and of Pharaoh's entire elite pursuing army, his chariots, his horsemen, all of them, the number who survived was 0.
But the story doesn't just end there, with the destruction of an army. It ends with the birth of a nation's identity, all captured in one of the most ancient poems in the entire Bible.
Can you imagine being on the shore that morning? The Israelites see the bodies of their former masters washing up on the sand, and that paralyzing terror they felt just hours before, it completely transforms into this profound sense of awe and trust. They've just witnessed the impossible. And this moment of deliverance is immediately turned into a song. Led by Moses' sister, Miriam, the people sing what's now called the Song of the Sea. And what's really amazing is that scholars think this is one of the oldest poems in the entire Hebrew Bible, a powerful, immediate celebration of what just happened.
So here's the really crucial takeaway. This event became so much more than just a historical memory. It became the creation myth of Israel. It was the ultimate story of rescue, the blueprint for liberation from oppression that would echo down through the centuries, inspiring countless movements for freedom.
And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. With no definitive archaeological proof, we're kind of left with a question. Does a story like this need to be proven as historical fact to be powerful? Or does its true power lie in the hope, the identity, and the meaning it has given to millions of people for thousands of years, as this timeless symbol of hope in the face of impossible odds?